Dry shampoo and coffee, my friends. Dry shampoo and coffee. That's not what I wanted to do. I need a do-over. Can I get a do-over, please? Do-over. I know, right? Listen to her. Sing it, bird. All right, so today let's talk about how to most... Bird, listen. Listen, Linda. Why are you yelling at me? What? I think she's dead. Hello, everyone. Today we are going to talk about how to most effectively communicate with your students. It is kind of a minefield sometimes when you're dealing with these younger athletes. They are complex little humans, and to get the most out of them and make them feel successful every time they leave your lesson is really, really important. So let's talk about how to go about that. Most of my lessons are in the early morning, and they are with higher athletes of ranging ages. So the first thing I do is say, "Good morning, how are you, how's it going?" And I actually mean it. I want to know how they're doing. Did they eat breakfast? Did they sleep well the night before? Sometimes you can just look at their face. I'm sure they can see it on me as well, and see how tired they are, how alert they are, what they're feeling. Yes, I have goals that I want to accomplish for that lesson and goals for them each week, but you kind of have to weave in the elements that you want to work on based on their energy level. So I think number one is find out their energy level and where they are in their headspace. Number two is when we do get down to business and we're working on an element, give the athlete enough space as far as giving them an opportunity to have a do-over if they need it, or if they need to really get their brain going in order to get the mind-body connection. If you go out and you try your first jump and it's not successful, that's fine. You're not a circus monkey here to perform for me just because you're in a lesson. It doesn't work that way. So give them time and space to work through some things that they need to work through. I think the first inclination as a coach is to try to fix everything. Not only fix it, but fix everything. So you got to kind of pull the reins back on yourself a little bit and grant them a little space. I think that's a really good place to start. As we are progressing through an element and working towards a correction, let's say, I always ask the athlete, all right, do you need technical assistance or do you just need a do-over? Because sometimes they're like, oh man, let me try it again. I just need a do-over. And sometimes whatever correction you're trying to make, they have not had an opportunity to process it enough. Then you might have to take it a step back if they haven't been able to really process it or understand what you're doing. It's your job then to create either another way to say it or create exercises around what you want them to do. So just keep that in mind, creating exercises for them so they can feel where they're supposed to be or whatever part of the element you're working towards. That way, when they actually do implement it, it becomes second nature. So the biggest thing I have changed about my coaching is just talking about the one thing. So it helps me focus, it helps them focus. So when I am trying to make a correction for an athlete, I say, okay, what is the one thing we're going to think about when you do it the next time? Now, bear in mind that that one thing may or may not make the element better, but just correcting that one thing, hopefully early on, whether it's a jump or spin, really it's the setup that's going to make the difference. So correcting that one thing and just focusing on that and holding it in your brain is going to give the athlete more of a chance of success. So as a coach, again, you're going to have to pull the reins back and try not to fix everything at once. It's very easy to say, well, I want you to fix your left arm and your head, and I want you to fix this part of your landing. It's too much, too much. So sometimes you can give them a little bit more rope and give them multiple corrections, but very, very seldom will you be successful with that. So go for the one thing. And then sometimes the athlete will come back to you and say, oh, well, my head was better, but da, 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 da. Stop them. I always stop and go, but because I don't care about that. I only care about whether or not your head was correct. Great job. Now let's move on to the next step. And then they feel successful. So this is always good. All right. The other thing I like to say to mess with young minds is, oh, it's an easy fix. I need you to go do la 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 la, whatever the correction is. Oh, it's an easy fix. You can take care of that. And they go and do it. And then if I convince them it's an easy fix, then maybe it is. And it isn't a correction like you need to land the jump. It's a very specific correction of make sure your foot is toe to heel. I want you to push your right shoulder back when you land this time. I always talk about self-defense. Self-defense. You got to get that right shoulder back to counteract the rotation when you land. Otherwise, you're just going to fall to the direction of rotation. So you've got to counter it when you land. So that's the one thing I want you to think about, and it's an easy fix. In my other video, How to Break Bad Habits, I talk about how to really hone in on making corrections, which can be difficult, especially when you have an athlete who learns a different way than you present. So it's really important that you could talk to an athlete all day long about fixing their LUTs. For example, I have a skater right now who is not drawing back her foot on her LUTs. She's jumping with her feet apart and turning to, pivoting too early, jumping too early. And I could tell her all day long, hey, you need to fix it, blah, blah, blah. And she knows it. She knows she needs to fix it. Can she fix it? No. Why? I'll tell you. Because she's not an auditory learner. She's a visual learner. So I video it, show it to her, video it, show it to her. And to me, we made a lot of progress this week, even though it wasn't as fixed as nicely as I would like it to be. But we made a lot of progress because she was able to skate back to me and say, yes, I brought my foot back. No, I did not. That's huge, just creating that awareness, especially for a skater that isn't auditory or a feeler, they're tactile learner. She is purely visual. So for her to give me that feedback was a huge step in the right direction. So hopefully next week it'll be fixed, because otherwise I'm going to deal with it some more. You know what I'm saying? The next thing I want to talk about is never underestimate the power of a drawing. And the reason I say that is because skaters need to understand that their blades are drawing on the ice. They're making marks on the ice. And I know a lot of coaches teach that early on, and sometimes it's kind of a tool in our tool chest that we forget about. And if I say to an athlete, let's take my LUTs girl, for example. If I say to her, okay, so here is your pick, and you're only gliding to this position, but I say, I need you to glide your foot all the way back until they're even, then it might click for her even more as a visual versus looking at a video. I think it's important for them to translate that the blade is like a big marker on the ice that they are drawing with, and these are the shapes that they are trying to create. And that takes some time to be able to develop that knowledge, but the sooner they learn it, the better. And it does make your life easier as a coach when you draw for them, especially in spins. I find that to be true. 9 times out of 10, we see a spin that went awry because they have done a beautiful 3-turn and then a bunch of loops, right? So I always tell them, I don't want to see a beautiful, even 3-turn. I want an ugly 3-turn. So that edge has to come around. And now we have an ugly 3-turn that is uneven on both sides, and they'll hook the spin better and not travel. So it's really good for them to understand that. And it takes a lot of time for them to see it the right way, see it drawn. I draw on the glass, then see the print they made, see the print I made. It just takes some time for development, but it could really produce some good results, and it also coaches them to coach themselves, if that makes sense. So I think at the end of the day, I've done my job when they have a full understanding of something and can make corrections on their own. I know a lot of coaches are monkey see, monkey do coaches, and I applaud that. If you are still a really good skater and you can skate the element for someone, I think that's invaluable. Sometimes skaters need to hear the sound that the blade makes and feel the rhythm of what you're doing. I often, when I'm teaching axles or other jumps, I will do the edge, jump, land, like a Welsh jump on 2 feet. I'll have them do it, then I'll do it, then they do it, then I do it, and so on. Or I'll even set up a video so they can see the differences between us. But sometimes they need to hear it, feel it, understand the rhythm, and that makes a big difference too. So demonstrating is always good. Borrow another skater. That also helps them when they see their peers do it. But you have to be really careful with that because, you know, God forbid you grab this skater and use her as an example, but you didn't use another skater as an example and feelings are hurt. So try to steal skaters evenly if you can, or explain to the skater, I would like for you to demonstrate your flip because of the nice way you hold your 3-turn. Then guess what? They're going to hold their 3-turn nicer. It's just easier. And it really makes that skater feel good, but it also really gives the skater you're working with an understanding of how things look, how they sound, how they feel, the rhythm. It helps a lot. I think even more so than videos sometimes. One of the things that I have noticed the most recently is if a skater starts going downhill, how to pull them out of this rabbit hole of emotion and upsettedness and frustration, that it takes a lot of time and finesse to be able to pull them out of that when they get frustrated. Sometimes just simply acknowledging it. I said to a skater the other day, are you tired? Are you hurt? Are you mad? Are you frustrated? And she said, I'm just frustrated. And I was like, you know what? That's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. Sometimes just acknowledging that makes them feel better, because what happens a lot of times is skaters will get into this drama, wallowing in their own drama and frustration, which breeds more frustration because now you can't make the element work because your head's not in the right place. You're focused on the wrong thing. And it's really easy, I think, to get them to snap out of it sometimes. And sometimes it's a matter of just having a little bit of dialogue about it, and they can start to get out of it. But most of the time, what I have found when I get a little bit of a sourpuss, frustration, skater drama happening, my main goal is to get them to smile. I don't care what it takes. And it takes a while. You have to be delicate about it. You have to kind of be slick about it. But usually if I can get them to smile, it kind of breaks. There's a crack in the armor of them wanting to sit in that ugly space and wallow in it versus, hey, you know what? Once I can break through that and get them to smile, then I can get them to a space that says, okay, you're on the ice. It's like recess. Whatever issues you're having with your mom or your brother, or you're angry about this, or your pants don't fit right, you're on the ice and you're here to do a job. And I need you to focus on just, again, we're going back to it, the one thing. All this other stuff doesn't mean anything. So let's just go back to that one thing. And then when they do, and they do the element correctly, I praise the heck out of them. The other thing that I like to do is say, okay, let's put this element aside because we're clearly frustrated about it. And I usually choose an element that they can be successful at and show me that, and show me something that they really enjoy doing. And they get in this attitude where I don't like anything. Okay, well, I'll pick then, and you do it, and I'm going to praise the heck out of you for it to try to rebuild up your confidence. And then we may or may not go back to the other thing. And sometimes you just don't need to go back to the other element, because sometimes getting your mind off of it and away from it makes it even better. And that sounds a little cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, but it's the way it is. So, all right, we're going to leave that double toe alone, but we are going to run your program. And a lot of times when you're running a program, they'll revert back and the double toe will be fine. A little bit of overthinking can get you into trouble in skating, unfortunately. I'm sure skaters hate it when I say this, but I always tell them, save the drama for your mama. I hope at the very least this has been entertaining for you and has given you some tools to help you through kind of the psychology and the emotion of dealing with your athletes. These are just some things that I have used that I have found have worked. It takes a while to build up the tools in your tool chest that you can pull out and bring to your lessons. And there are so many great tools from so many great coaches. So steal as many from each other as you can and experiment to see what works. All right, everybody, I hope you give me a thumbs up and subscribe. Please let me know if there is any other content you would like for me to address. And most importantly, have a nice day.